Simon, on Friday, we spoke at length about Chelsea. We spoke at length about their transfer window and that incredible monumental spend.
Yeah.
We quoted sources close to Todd Boehly. Now we're hearing that the same sources tell us we're confident we have a lot of ways to solve whatever challenges come our way.
Well, they bloody well need to be, don't they?
Well, they do, because reports have suggested now that Chelsea are set to ask for exemptions from the Premier League spending rules when they submit their latest accounts. And they're going to argue they were unable to receive income for 3 months last year after Abramovich was sanctioned by the UK government. I mean, is that a legitimate argument?
Well, of course it is. You can't take away someone's income. On their financial accounts that they prepare for Companies House, they will prepare the accounts with the revenue they generated, irrespective of the consequences of Roman Abramovich's sanctioning. On the football world, in the same way that people ask for dispensation because of COVID, they ask for a whole raft of allowable adjustments around player valuations. Everton managed to get around financial fair play by having COVID allowable adjustments alongside other things. So why shouldn't Chelsea? Why wouldn't Chelsea? Why shouldn't they ask for something? They didn't suggest. The Chelsea business lost, I imagine, probably 20 million quid or close to it out of however many games they weren't able to play at Stamford Bridge and in FA Cups and so on and so forth, and commercial revenues that they would have got. If you look at the numbers that Chelsea run and what they suggest they get per spend per head when people come into Stamford Bridge, it'll run at about £2 million a game. So if they've had 7-8 games that they couldn't play at Stamford Bridge or whatever it was, why shouldn't they take that as an allowable adjustment? It's small beer, and it shouldn't then be inflated up in the argument about how much they spent. Because
but it comes at a time that, talking about scrutiny, no club has been scrutinised more than Manchester City.
Well, no,
others will say, well, how come Chelsea can be exempt of such scrutiny at a time like that?
But they're not exempt. If the UEFA and the Premier League want to bring charges against Chelsea, they duly will. What they've done, what the exemption you're asking for is Chelsea. I mean, it's an absolute outrage what football's just done. You value your players on a contract. So you can put those players on whatever contract you choose, and that's how you value them. Oh, so Chelsea have done that now, changed the length of the contract term, and football wants to change it. Now, people keep saying, Martin Keown included, that because I'm defending the argument that Chelsea are doing, that somehow I've got my head up Chelsea's backside and had a nice time with Todd Boehly in Qatar and subsequently see things through Todd Boehly's eyes. No, I think he spent a preposterous amount of money. I think they've spent an outrageous amount of money. I think they've had their pants pulled down on some of these transfer values. But I bet you they've done their sums. And what people don't do is they don't do their homework. They don't look at Chelsea and go, oh, what is Chelsea's current depreciation over the last 5 years? Well, I can tell you what Chelsea's current depreciation is against their net sales. About £45 million a year depreciation. So go factor that into their sales revenue and what they're actually going to get done for. And then go look at the underlying assets they've got, like Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Conor Gallagher, that are on their balance sheet are virtually nothing. They can probably get out the door for close to 100 million quid. Straight profit, straight to the bottom line. They know what they're doing. And whether we like it or we don't is irrelevant. And the fact they're going to change contract lengths, I mean, the contract market is already rubbish in the first place. The way you value players on your balance sheet is already flawed in the first place. It's all steeped against football clubs being able to buy players in a ridiculous inflated transfer market and actually value them properly. So I do think that the agenda, again, this question, so what? Chelsea had their doors closed for 3 months. They had their doors closed because the world changed and an invasion of Russia that was nothing to do with Chelsea Football Club, was everything to do with its owner, and the revenue out of those financial affairs should be able to be claimed back. Now, if it was Manchester City, if it was Manchester United, if it was Liverpool, if it was Crystal Palace, if it was Accrington Stanley, I'd be saying the same thing.
The same thing. An invasion of Ukraine prompted all of this, of course,
yes,
with Abramovich. And Boehly's people say, it's, when it comes to the spend, it's not expense, it's investment. Well, you go with that?
Well, yes, of course I do. I mean, sometimes investments can be your biggest assets and your biggest liabilities.
Yeah.
What other people will say is that you better have bought some good players. I was talking to Souness yesterday afternoon. He was suggesting that ultimately some of the players that are being bought in are pups. Well, time will tell. Time will tell. But the bottom line is, if they've done their research, they've paid top money for these players, no doubt about it. They're banking on the marketplace changing slightly and that the transfer market is going to keep on going up. Wages are going to keep on going up. And if you look behind the scenes and under hood, they're saying they've got these players locked on contract deals that give them stage pay rises, but not huge ones. So in 5 or 6 years' time, if this preposterous level of wages keeps on going up, they might find themselves with some of these players on less than the average player salary in the Premier League. They might not.
Yeah.
But there is absolute unadulterated science behind what Chelsea are doing. They're not using sponsorship revenues and distorting them. They're not running parallel contracts as other clubs are being alleged that they're doing, and having one player, one part of his contract in the books, and another part on a part of the business that's nothing to do with that business. They are doing things in a way that's, and what they're also doing. If you look at the, and I don't like this example, but if you look at the NFL model and how player salaries are, their argument is that player salaries are actually undercooked as to what they're going to be. Because look at what some of these players are getting paid in the NFL, in the NBA, in the NHL, in the National Baseball League, all of them.
Or to somebody like you who wants a cap, that'll please you.
I want a cap because I want football to be sustainable.
Yeah.
Actually,
I really do. When it does come to money as well, nobody can argue that Bowley and Igbali, his sidekick, very few people know more about how to make money than them. Jointly worth 10 billion. 12:30.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.